Welcome to the NEPA Scene Podcast. We're coming to you live from the Accelerator Building in downtown Wilkes-Barre. I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene, and tonight we're here with comedians Paul Spratt and Mike Peters. We're going to talk about how they got into stand-up, where their comedy careers have taken them so far, the best and worst venues for comics, organizing and hosting comedy events, Mike's Homebrewed Comedy series, and new monthly shows at Karl Hall in Wilkes-Barre, a new comedy and poetry open mic at Finnegan's in Scranton, Paul's Loud and Nerdy podcast, as well as Mike's On the Mic podcast, and much more. So please stay tuned for the full hour. We would love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. So no matter what platform you're watching this on at the moment, please leave those comments in there. We will get to them. We will, if you have any questions for these guys, anything you want to know about comedy in the tri-state area, I guess, then leave those down below. We would love to hear from you. Before we dive in, I just want to thank our sponsor, Special Guest, who has provided us with this great office space, equipment, and the funds to make this podcast and our website possible. Special Guest allows anyone, anywhere to hire live entertainment on demand. The app removes the friction from talent booking by facilitating the discovery, communication, agreement, and payment process, working with the booker and the artist to make sure they both get what they need to make events happen at venues, house parties, or wherever. So whatever you're looking for live entertainment, or you're a performer of any kind looking to get hired, visit specialguestapp.com to see what they can do for you. Thank you so much to Special Guest for sponsoring this and making the show possible. I think Paul is on Special Guest as well.
I am. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure you got a profile on there when I was searching around for stuff to talk about. So when I was young, I grew up on Monty Python and Kids in the Hall and like stuff like that kind of like shaped my sense of comedy and what's funny and stuff. So where do you think your sense of humor began? Do you know maybe what influenced it early on?
You can go first.
Oh,
Mike.
fine. Probably.
No pressure.
I would say maybe my biggest influence, probably The Simpsons or In Living Color, because that, I don't know if you remember back then,
Yeah.
but that Sunday block from 8 to 10 was really informal to me. I mean, I was lucky. I mean, In Living Color had Jim Carrey and Damon Wayans and Keenan Ivory and Jamie Foxx, David Allen Greer. I mean, you can go on and on, Tommy Davidson. And it just, you don't even know who the most talented one is.
Right.
And I saw that right after The Simpsons, right at the beginning of the show. So I'm probably 8, 9 when that came out.
Okay.
And then I think the 9:30 spot was the George Carlin show.
Oh,
And
nice.
Carlin's still my favorite comedian. So I would say that time was pretty important to me.
Yeah, I mean, I was a Monty Python guy. Mad TV, In Living Color.
Oh yeah, Matt TV.
But it's funny when you start as a comic, you like certain stuff, and then you get into comedy and it changes because you think it was like garbage.
Yeah.
You're like, I like bad stuff, and then you turn it around.
Kind of like music too, in that
Yeah.
same way. When you're a kid, you kind of have your own taste of music, and then you look back and you're like, "Why the hell did I listen to any of that?"
Yeah.
I don't know. I still listen to everything I used to listen to when I was a kid.
I
Oh, man,
I
don't
do
listen
too.
to something anymore. I love Breakfast at Tiffany's, but man, I got old.
Yeah. I mean, certain songs,
Yeah.
you have to let go forever.
The first musician I really got into was Weird Al, and
Oh,
obviously
nice.
I
You
just saw him at the Kirby Center.
I almost bought tickets to when he was playing in Williamsport. I don't think it's going to play in Williamsport. And 'cause my girlfriend likes him. I don't know if it's as much as I do, but love Weird Al. He used to terrorize my brother. We had bad hair day. I had bad hair day. And then the night Santa went crazy. I used to play it on repeat for my brother. He was like 6. And like it's awful. I mean, I love it.
Yeah.
But we don't talk anymore.
Were you excited for what's his face to play Weird Al? And, what's that?
Emo Phillips?
Yeah, no, not Emo Phillips. There's
Dr.
Oh, I
Dr.
gotcha.
Demento.
yeah,
Yeah,
the Bible.
my dad actually had the Dr. Demento tapes, like the cassette tapes.
Nice.
So I would listen to them, and they had all like the really funny like parody songs, because there's a lot more than Weird Al out there. Of course, there's
Yeah.
plenty of other people, none of which, of course, I can name off the top of my head.
Well, also
but,
none
I
of us
could.
had achieved that level of fame.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, there was some really funny stuff on there. So like the one about the funny farm and that kind of stuff.
Well, no,
like,
I was
the
talking
ones
about
everyone
what's
remembers.
Is it the Harry Potter dude? Is it Elijah something?
Oh yes,
Weird Al.
the like biographical
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
coming out. Yeah. Well, the funniest part about that is all the people thinking it's serious. Like
Yeah.
there's people in it. He doesn't look anything like Weird Al. It's like it's a joke. It's the
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
point. Like there's a part where he's like he rips off his shirt and he's like all built on stage and stuff like that. And he's like
Weird Al isn't?
spitting water and shit. And it's like people are and then he's like, oh, I'm drinking and doing drugs and stuff. Anybody who knows even remotely anything about Weird Al knows he's like completely
Yes,
like
100%.
the most boring normal guy behind the scenes. It's just
Yeah.
like all the weird stuff's in his music and everything. So like I just don't know how you could watch that trailer, which is it's clearly like a comedic, funny
Right.
trailer.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't get it. This is stupid. This is so dumb. Like people are so fucking stupid.
Well, that's because now you have to let go that people don't think for themselves anymore.
Yeah, I guess not.
They're like, it's serious. No, it's a joke. I don't mean it.
It's a movie about Weird Al.
Yeah. Like,
Right.
if they did a real biopic about Weird Al, it'd probably be the most uninteresting
Right.
movie.
Exactly.
They had to spice it up somehow.
Right.
Like,
6
watch
years
this
of
guy
accordion
be
lessons.
sober his whole career and not party. That's awesome. He's with his wife the whole time. Dope.
I don't think I'd want to see him like write a song like write a cover about baloney. Like what's the process of that?
Right.
Like, all right, what kinds do we have here? Like, it can't be real exciting.
I mean, I don't know, because didn't Michael Jackson approve him to do Eat It?
He did, yeah.
I think, see, that would be an interesting
The only one
story,
that
but
I heard was Coolio was not
He was
cool
not
with
all-
it.
no,
No,
he was on
but I
board.
understand that. Like, it was Gangsta's Paradise. Pretty. I mean, it was Four Dangerous Minds. It was a serious song, but like
until he
Paradise is so huge.
until he realized that like, oh shit, I don't have a career anymore.
Right.
Then he's like, oh yeah, no, I was just joking. I approved of that the whole time. Please send in those royalty checks.
Yeah.
Please,
He's working on that.
please
He's
keep
He's
them
looking at
coming.
5, 6, 7, 8, something else that's new. I know 2 Coolio songs.
that's it?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's all I got.
And the one you count in. That's
Yep,
the only
that's
one.
it. That's it.
Since my sister isn't here and can't tell a very quick stupid story about Coolio. So Coolio was actually performing at like Tinks or one of those places
I
like
remember
downtown. Yeah. So he went to the Steamtown Mall when that was still a thing, and they actually had stores and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Not an
And
aquarium.
my sister was working at the Piercing Pagoda, right?
Yes.
Like cheap ass,
jewelry.
whatever jewelry. He was trying. He actually like. She knew who he was right away, of course, because he stood out like a sore thumb in the Steamtown Mall.
Yeah.
And he literally tried to negotiate on how much their cheap fake jewelry was. Like he actually wanted to negotiate the prices, as if she
pretty
had
wild.
the power to do that. Yeah, and then the fact that like. Aren't you supposed to be some kind of tough gangster guy? Like, why don't you just steal them? I don't know. Like, hold the place up. I don't know.
Isn't that what they say? How rich people stay rich is they don't spend money.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah. They're
Warren,
like the most
Warren
frugal
Buffett.
people.
Warren Buffett leaves his house with like $300, and he comes back with $300.
Yeah, that's wild. I can't even leave my house one time without spending money.
I think I realize now why my ex-girlfriend broke up with me. I used to get everything from the Pearson Pagoda. I didn't realize it was all fake. Nobody told me
Just
that.
buying her necklaces from there, being like,
Yeah.
I worked really hard for this. I saved up for a long time. It's like $14.99. It's
Yeah.
fake.
Damn.
You run water
It
over
all,
it. just
it all
turns
makes
brown.
sense. I don't need therapy anymore.
Oh, Rich solved it for you. We're just done now. That's good.
And we blew up a Coolio spot in the process, so even
Ah,
better.
he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think he'll live.
I mean, if he was that frugal, I hope he's okay.
I'm sure one of those Remember the 90s tours are coming back.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
But that was the fun thing about NEPA back in the days. We used to get random people that would come through town. So, and I feel like that. Do you feel like that's kind of stopped?
It has.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would get, like when Stage West was open for a little bit, there was a little bit of that where it was just like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, that's random. Like
Yeah.
the Pete and Pete showed up there to do like their, they have like their little live show thing.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
know
were
that.
at Stage West.
See?
Yeah, like randomly. But that's the thing. I don't think that they advertised enough. I don't think a lot of people knew what was
Yeah.
going on there. There was people like right up the block who were like, every time a show happened, oh, I would have gone to that if I knew about it. I'm like, well, this is the 5th time you said that. Maybe
Oh
you
my
should
God.
start paying attention.
Yeah,
I don't know.
subscribe
Like,
to the thing.
yeah, exactly.
Do comedy for a little bit. Do music for a little bit. and you will get desensitized by somebody saying, "Oh, I wish I would have known." It's like I have posted about this so many times.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the only thing I can do is walk up to your door and pull you into my car and take you to the show. Like I've been told that's not good, but like I'll try it.
And even then, they'd be like, "What? Where are we? What are we doing here?"
Cover? Like, oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I think "I wish I knew" is always code for I feel like I should support you, but I don't want to.
It's like happy belated birthday.
Yeah, it's like I just noticed I missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what did you think caused that, Rich? Is that it's just a no venue thing now?
Yeah,
Or
I
is it
think
like-
I think that's a big part of it. It's
Yeah.
really difficult to keep these venues, running and profitable, and it's
Yeah.
getting worse and worse all the time. I mean, ticket prices are going through the roof.
Yeah.
But
I feel like everybody's just playing the arena now.
yeah,
Which
and
is wild.
there's a lot of like the Pavilion, for example, used to get really great stuff there. I mean, they
Yeah.
got David Bowie. Like David Bowie fucking played at Montage at one point.
Yeah.
Now we don't get anything like that anymore, and a lot of that is due to like other venues popping up that are considered more important, like in Philly and wherever. So like we're not the destination place anymore. A lot of places would be like in between, like, oh, we got to go from Philly to New York or vice versa, so we'll stop in Scranton and stuff like that. And for whatever reason, that's not happening much anymore. And I think another part of it too is you have to have the right people in charge of the venues too. Like when you see certain venues, you have really like aggressive bookers who are really like looking to bring cool stuff. And
Yeah.
then there's ones that are just kind of skating by and they're like, yeah, you know what? If I book 2 or 3 things, I can keep my paycheck. And
Yeah,
about
that's what
it.
works
So they
out.
just kind of keep doing that. They don't really put in the effort.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, a little bit of part of
I
it
think it's
too.
missing the passion it used to have.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
for
the
sure.
Cultural Center used to have dope shows.
Oh
all
yeah,
the time.
I saw so many amazing
Yeah, I
shows
saw
there.
so many shows between Tinks and then there, and then I mean, now what concert? There's never concerts there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think too they want to like there's certain there's bookers like SLP Concerts that have been they brought the really cool stuff to the Cultural Center, but they might look at it as like, well, the Sherman Theater might be just a better fit. It might be less expensive to do it there. It might
Right.
be, whatever the case may be. I know some venues too, have the unions and things like that, and that can add to costs and whatever. Not to bash anybody there or
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that. But it's the cost of doing business, I think, is a big part of it too, where they're just kind of like, you know what, this venue's probably going to work out, even if it's just a few bucks cheaper.
Right.
We got to squeeze every bit we can out of this stuff.
Yeah,
So.
touring's a tough business.
Yeah. So whereas they used to book at places like the Cultural Center, I think now they're focused more on places like the Sherman and stuff, which is a little bit more of a drive here in Scranton, but it's not that far, And the Sherman's a great venue, and they get
But they
good
used
stuff
to be
there.
both.
Yes, there used to be both. Yeah, you don't see it as much, and I don't know. I guess I'd have to maybe try to get some of those people on the show to spill
Yeah,
their
to
secrets
see
as
what's
to
going on.
as to
Yeah.
why. Yeah,
I know the Sherman's still.
that's
doing
all
concerts.
speculation on my part.
Yeah,
by
you're
the
like,
way,
it's all hearsay.
yeah, and things that I hear and stuff through the grapevine. But
Yeah, because I mean, comedy has really dropped off in Scranton. 'Cause it
yeah.
used
Well,
to be
we used to get Carlin. We used to
Carlin,
get
all that.
Lewis Black literally every year.
every year.
Yeah,
And the Kirby used to have a ton of people all the time too. And I mean, there's some,
yeah.
but it seems like dramatically, like aggressively non-existent. And it used to be like this was a stop. Like Leno mentioned in his book, like all of that other stuff, like how hard it was to make Scranton people laugh, and then
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like a purpose to come here to make sure your act worked, and like somewhere it stopped.
I've seen that happen in person too. Like like Lewis Black, like literally fighting with the audience,
Really?
Carlin fighting with the audience.
Yeah.
And it's really a lot of that is a Northeast PA thing. It's a Scranton Wilkes-Barre thing.
Yeah,
Where
nice.
I've seen other when Cyndi Lauper was at the Kirby Center, everybody said that she almost walked off the fucking stage.
Because nobody left.
No, because people kept talking during the set or whatever, and
Oh,
she's like
really?
literally like, "Shut the fuck up,
Wow.
or I will fucking end this show. Like, please stop."
That's pretty.
And
wild
just
for-
wouldn't, and people just kept screaming and like shouting stuff,
Yeah.
and it's like, what the hell? Why would you pay that kind of money to see these shows and then purposely go out of your way to ruin them? Like, I
don't
never
understand
understood
I
that.
thought the one beauty of music was people could talk while you were playing.
Well, I guess this
thought
was
that the thing.
aggressively loud,
Oh.
or somebody was somebody was shouting like a song that they wanted to hear, like one of those kind of guys, free bird, you know, that type of shit. They want to hear that one song.
How do you think girls just want to have fun when you're agitated?
Right. Exactly. Right.
Feminism. You think of feminism.
I guess so. Yeah.
You get mad. That's how you get ramped up.
Like
Angry
Goonies.
girls
What?
That's weird for Cyndi Lauper to have a bad time in NEPA.
Yeah.
But I mean, they are hard. I don't know if they prided on being hard audiences or what.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done comedy here the majority of my career, and it is hard.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's weird. They support it sometimes, and then sometimes they're like, no.
Now is that based on venue or crowd, or what do you
really
chalk that up to?
depends.
Yeah.
Some venues put a lot of work behind it, and it works. And then it's when you find the right combination. But I haven't been. It's when I did it before I left, before I moved to New York. I had a lot of venues that were really on board. I left, and now that I'm back, it seems like a lot of venues are like, I don't know. I don't want to do comedy. They had like a bad taste. I'm like, I don't know what happened when I was gone. But they were like, yeah, we tried comedy before, but it's like, it's so easy. You can pay a cover band quadruple the amount of money. And there you hear the same songs over and over again, or you could do something different that nobody else is doing.
Right.
But, I mean, NEPA just loves drinking and cover bands. That's what they're huge fans of.
Yeah, I guess so.
But we used to be like such a mecca of original stuff. Because I was doing comedy when like Breaking Bad and all those bands were blowing up, and like NEPA was like the rock haven of original acts, and then comedy was coming from here, and then I don't know what happened.
Right.
But if you want to get good, here is a good place because you'll battle.
Yeah.
They'll tell you shit sucks.
Well, you know, I also get a lot of, and I see this at the open mic all the time, that is a real problem where, and it seems like it just hasn't occurred to them. There's people who want to participate in your show. They want to make them a part of the show. So they're adding to like their joke or whatever. You know, you come out with the punchline and like, yeah, and then that happens there too, and blah, blah, blah. And they're like really trying to, and I have to go over to them and be like, you know, he has a set already. You don't need to participate. You're not part of this unless he specifically asks you, like, hey, what's your name? Where are you from? That sort of thing. You're not supposed to. And they're like, wait, really? And like, since when? Like, have you never seen stand-up comedy ever before? Like, you never even watched like one on Netflix? Like, you don't see people like getting up in the audience, be like, hey, yeah, I got another punchline for your joke. Like, it doesn't fucking work that way.
Well, it's funny. On my podcast, I just referenced your mic. I got it 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, this one guy, and I think he was being sincere. I was maybe 2 or 3 minutes in, and I had a set that I liked, and I came down here to work it out. And he started heckling, and I got off stage, and I walked over to him. I walked over to his side, and he came over to me, and he goes, hey, man, I'm just trying to help. I'm going, well, you're not. he goes, why? I go, well, I'm trying to work on this, that. And I said, that's fine. I just want you to pay attention. He goes, all right. And he bought me a beer. And I'm like, nobody's ever done that before.
Wow,
Like,
yeah.
good or bad. Nobody ever gave me a beer after a set. So I was like, I think people are, for the most part, they're trying to help. They really are. But I think you just need to educate them a little bit.
Right.
And like, they wouldn't go to Wisecrackers, let's say. I mean, there's enough space between there. And they wouldn't yell out because somebody would pack them on the bed.
Well, they would.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They do.
Yeah. I have had that happen, actually.
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking
It's just
about?
good lights. I can't see the guys in the back who hate me.
No, it happens all the time. I think people during the pandemic forgot how to act in public. Because it was so long, there was no live shows.
Right.
And if they were outside.
Yeah.
So most times you're battling everything anyways. So now we're back inside and people are like, hey, remember when I could do whatever I wanted because we're outside? And we're like, no. Now we're back to how it used to be. And they're like, we didn't like that. You know? So it's like, plus like the involvement of crowd work comedy on the internet. Like that's a
TikTok.
huge thing. So now everybody thinks it's like interactive.
Oh, right.
So I was like, when that first started getting big, I'm like, this is going to come back on all of us. And we're gonna be mad about it. And then it is, because now everybody wants you to do that part. But now you have to, because you have to create 8,000 hours of content 24 hours a day.
Paul's lucky because he's very good at it. So he can bounce with it. We were at a show in Waverly, New York, and like Sayre, Pennsylvania. And it was rough. We had a good audience, but like The bar was loud. The inside like the dining room was quiet, but outside the bar, and Paul handled it. He yelled over and got their attention, and he can roll with it. So I think you almost have to develop that as just like a defense mechanism.
Right.
It's
I know,
like,
he'll get off stage and he's like, yeah, I know, but that was all new. And he got so many laughs. And I'm like, well, screw you, first of all. I'm working my ass off trying to find 15 minutes that works. And he's like, yeah, I just improv that. I'm like, okay. But he's like, yeah, I wanted to work on this 45 minutes. He's got an album coming up. And I'm like, all right, I get it. But
yeah, just inventing stuff instead of working on the stuff I want to do.
Yeah.
But that's from doing bar shows here.
Right.
I used to do stand up in the V Spot, like a show. If you've been to your mic's in the V Spot, that's not for comedy.
It's not.
I love
Yeah,
the
I mean,
V Spot, but it is not.
yeah, and I love having the comedians come out and mix up the night a little and have some fun. But like, sometimes it either really hits or it just really doesn't, and it's usually just kind of one or the other.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it's not even the comic's fault. It's like there's weird acoustics in there. It's a kind of the shape of the whole thing is strange. So like, as soon as the sound dies about halfway through, that whole back area is just they just see a guy with the mic and they're like, what?
Yeah,
They're
because
not
unless
paying
they're
attention.
quiet when you get up there, like
Right.
unless you file, like if I followed like Monk or somebody, like if you had a bunch of spoken word stuff in a row.
Yeah, which I try to do.
Yeah.
If I have a bunch of them, I try to group them together and like convince someone to be like, oh yeah, no, I want to go at this. It's like, trust me, you really want to go
go
when the
right
other
here.
comedians are going? Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
I went up late the last time I went, and I was after like 10 dudes just playing over a drum track.
Yeah.
And I was like, nice. And then by the time I went up, everybody was hammered, and like there was no chance. There was
Right.
no chance. But that's the V Spot. Mm-hmm. They're a music venue,
Right.
which is the problem. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's what gets you good at comedy, is doing the bad ones. That's why you get like a lot of comics. They're like, I don't want to do the bad shows. And you're like, well, you're never gonna get good.
you have to.
The bad shows are where you get good. Good shows are easy.
Right.
Nobody thinks it's like a layup. It's like, yeah, you got 300 people that all paid to be there at a comedy club. Yeah, of course, it's gonna be so easy. Everything's gonna work. You know what I mean? It's not the same as like being in a random spot that doesn't have comedy normally. It's weird vibes.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing is I think too, even people have this like, oh well, it's an open mic, so these guys like are probably just starting out or whatever, and it's like a lot of them are maybe coming off the road and they want to test some new jokes or something like that. Like a lot of them either do it for a living or at least they get paid shows, so like they are legitimate comics, so like but it's tough to explain that to people or to get people to they might just be walking in the bar on a Tuesday and they have no idea what they're walking into or what this is or that sort of thing. So yeah, that can be tough.
Like some bars, people just come out. I don't know where Scranton just random out of the dust. And you're like, how'd you not know this is happening? It's been happening for like a year.
Exactly.
Plus. They're like, oh, I don't know.
Well, I mean, NEPA Scene will be around almost 8 years, and we did a festival recently, and I'd say 90% of the people that walked up to the table had no idea what it was. Like we had the little shirts with the skull thing on them, and somebody was like, "Are you guys ghost hunters?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that would be so much more interesting." Yes.
Awesome.
All right, I'm changing the whole thing. That's what we are now.
That's your backup career. is
Yeah.
ghost hunting. It'd be like, we also talk about music and ghosts.
When I was a newspaper reporter, they had me follow around one of those local ghost hunter groups and stuff.
Yeah.
What beat was that?
It was arts and entertainment.
Yeah.
So,
Wow, okay.
So it was very broad.
Yeah.
And I went with one to this one city hall building that was supposed to be haunted or whatever. And the guy's explaining all these details about the equipment they use and whatever. And I'm sitting there writing them down, and he's looking at me like, "You don't believe me, do you?" And I'm like, "Well, no, I don't. No, I didn't know that was part of my job. I'm here to talk about what you do and to say that you believe it and you're very convinced that it's real, but if you're trying to convince me, like, I'm sorry. Like, and it's not like we heard or saw anything that night. Like, I stayed for hours while they were.
Take you to a place and you're like, "There's always ghosts here." The first time there's never been a ghost.
It was probably, it was very similar actually. Yeah,
energy.
it's like, this is this bell tower is where I'm like,
It's because you don't believe and they can feel it.
Is that because you put a spooky light in here? Is that is that why this is supposed to be haunted? Like, I'm sorry,
I was a journalist for a long time, did sports writing. I never heard of anybody having to go into a ghost hunter beat.
Yeah, well, we were always trying to look for something like different to write about, you know. So it was like, okay, well, these guys are doing something cool, and like at the time, like all those ghost hunting shows were huge. Right. And I think every one of them was trying to like get their own version of that show. Because I mean, they have like a $50 budget. I mean, you just need a shitty like camera that's night vision camera or whatever, and then somebody just shake it and say, "Oh, I think I saw something," and then that's like the entire show. So like, everybody wanted to do that for a little while.
I only liked like a parody one of that. Did you ever see the one video where the dude's on the bridge? And it's like black and white, and he's like talking shit to the demon.
I don't think so.
It's like, "Fuck you, demon. You're a pussy." He's like out there like talking shit, trying to get the demon to come out. And I was like, this is a ghost show I can get behind. Just roasting demons, like, whatever.
All right, so I want to ask you how you guys got into stand-up originally. Is it something that you always wanted to do, or is it something kind of came along a little later in life, or?
Well, for me, it's something I always wanted to do, but it came along later in life. And like I said, I was a journalist, and I remember being so infatuated with stand-up and Carlin, and I mean just Jim Carrey and Adam Sandler were huge. Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock. Like I was a kid in like '95, so like '94, '95, all those movies came out, and Chris Rock came out, and Seinfeld with those specials, and I wanted to do it so badly. But I went to school in Mansfield, Pennsylvania, and we had nothing there. I mean, they still have nothing there. But I got into journalism, and it was a second shift job. So I'd see signs for an open mic, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but it looks intriguing. I see comedy night. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I left a newspaper in Annapolis, came up here, and had nothing to do. I was working at Amazon sales, and I wanted to write. So I Googled open mic or comedy in Binghamton, and I saw this place called Matty B's, and they had open mic every Wednesday. So 6 months later, I decided to go, and I've been doing it ever since. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, I fell in love with it. Like, you get on stage for the first time, and you tell a joke that works, and you're like, oh, I want that laugh. And then the next couple weeks don't work so well. You're like, I still remember that laugh, so I'm going back there. So yeah, it's for me, I think. We'll see. So far.
How about you? I think. Like, I don't know.
Every time I have a bad show, I'm like, maybe it isn't for me.
Yeah.
So
I
we'll
still
see.
say that. I'm like, actually, I should rethunk this whole thing. I always liked it too, but I never knew it was a career, so I started late. I don't know what age you started.
I was 33.
Oh, so you started later.
Started late, yeah.
I'm always jealous of like Chappelle's. Like, I started at 16. I was like, God damn it. I started at 25, but I mean, I'd always loved stand-up, but I always thought it was just a thing. Like, I watched HBO specials as a kid, and I always thought you just had to be mega famous, and then stand-up was like a side thing that you did. It was like, Robin Williams is a really good actor, but he's also funny. Same with like, I didn't know it was like this whole thing of like people who were like not famous but doing comedy. And then, it was like every entertainer in a bad place. And I was like, you know what, I'll try it. I'm going to do something wild. And then I went to the open mic at Wisecrackers and then never stopped. They were just like, this is it, I think, as Mike would say.
Pretty much.
Yeah, well, now I have no choice because my resume has a very long gap that I can't explain. They'll be like, what'd you do for like these 8 years? I'm like, well, I told jokes for a living. I don't know how that translates to what you're trying to hire me for, but I'm good with people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love it. It's like you have to because you don't make any money.
Right.
So it's like you make just enough or you do really well. There's really no like in between.
Right.
So with the internet now, it's like it really speeds it up, but only if you get like, I mean, I hate to say lucky, but it is. So there's a lot of talented people out there people don't know about. So it's just You have one video that hits and it helps. Because there's no comedy. I mean, Comedy Central still exists, but it's not what it used to be.
Right.
So it's all the internet now. TikTok, these damn kids. No.
Yeah, you know, I literally just signed up for TikTok the other day just so that I could reserve NEPA scenes so that nobody can take that from me.
You gotta get on it, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great way to waste some time.
Yeah, it's
I'm
my
30
wife is already into it, so
I'm 39 and afraid to post a video because I'm intimidated by what I think the amount of workload is.
right.
And then I'm like, well, I have 3 cats. I should probably be on TikTok and I don't know, write my jokes and have the cats say them. So even if the joke sucks, hey, you got 2 cats.
Ah, there you go.
Combo.
It's
You
like
could be
cheating.
the cat guy.
Yeah, I am the cat guy. Who
But
cares?
what happens
So-
when you get famous? Then you have to bring your cats.
Oh, my cats will be more famous than me, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, doesn't matter. But I think TikTok is like you said, the crowd work videos. That's dangerous because you got everybody those are the ones that seem to hit so well.
Right.
I'm like, I think my jokes, at least some of them, are pretty good, but to put them on the internet and have people I don't know and whatever saying, oh, fuck that. like do something else. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, Mom, thanks.
I mean, I don't think, from what I've seen, TikTok isn't as scary as Reddit. So
No, I would never post anything.
I've
on
gotten
Reddit
my
like that.
feelings hurt on Reddit before. There used to be this thing called stand-up shots or something on Reddit where it was like a meme. So it was like you put a picture of yourself and then like one of your jokes.
Oh yeah, I remember
You do
that.
it, like every day, and then people would like upvote it or downvote it. And I used to just get torched on there.
Oh.
By like dudes who never even did stand up. They're
Yeah.
like, this shit sucks. And I'm like, this works in like real
Yes.
life.
Yeah.
Like in front of strangers. And they're like, this shit's whack. And it's just like, this guy should kill himself. And I'm like, fuck. Like, it was like, Reddit's mean.
I think most comedians, the question we hate is somebody comes up to us after a show or somewhere, they hear that we do comedy. Like, I don't know if you tell anybody you're a comedian.
No.
Like off stage, yeah, like I don't. And when somebody finds out, they're like, oh, tell me a joke.
Ah,
It's
yeah,
the
yeah.
worst. I never have a stock one, and I have a bunch of one-liners I could do it, but I'm terrified because I'm like, well, you're out of context. Like, when I'm
Right.
sitting down. I had a maintenance guy come over and look at my sink, and like he works at the apartment complex I live. So like he goes, oh, you're a comedian? I go, yeah, because I had to explain why I was there in my underwear at like 11 a.m.
I would just still tell everybody you're a sports writer.
I know. But he goes, oh, you're funny, huh? Tell me a joke. I'm like, no. He's in my kitchen, and I'm like, no. And he goes, why, you're not good? I go, you wouldn't. I'm gonna go downstairs now.
I would have just been like, only one of us is on the clock right now, and it's not me. So get to work. Because I hate that. People at
Yeah.
bars are like, you're not being very funny right now. I'm like, yeah, because I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, I just did it, or I'm off.
Yeah.
It's not like people go up to Rich and he's like, hey, write me a blog right now. Like, comedians are the only thing that people like, even musicians are like, can you play right now? No, nobody does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me pull the
song,
guitar
yeah.
out of my
Yeah.
ass and just
like-
start.
Hey, if you can do that,
Yeah,
tell people you can do it.
that's a
Like,
that's a
make some money.
that's a great talent.
Yeah.
No, when I was a sports writer,
How do you get
I-
that on America's Got Talent?
A lot of wipes.
Yeah.
No, when I was a sports writer, I wouldn't tell anybody I was a sports writer because at a bar, guys would want to argue,
Oh,
especially
okay.
before cell phones. Like you can look everything up,
Right.
and they'd be like, "Oh, what do you think of this?" I'm like, this isn't part of the interruption, pal. Like, I just want to hang out and eat wings. Like that's all I want to do.
You just had a rough life. bro.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, what
You
was
never
me?
talk about your career to
No,
anybody 'cause
never.
it's annoying.
No, I can't talk about it with my parents because they're like disappointed. Like all the way through. Man, we bought you a tuba. You should have played the tuba. I'm like, yeah, we don't know how anything works.
Where are you gonna go with the tuba?
Music education. That's
Nice.
they're
Yeah,
music teachers.
that's where your music class comes
Yeah.
from.
Well, that's where the pension comes from. So
You're just like, I just gotta make it to 40, and then I'm good.
my parents, they said that I get the house in the will because they have so little faith in me. They're 25 years at least away from dying. Like, don't worry, man, we got you.
So you just like sucked your way into a free house.
I guess.
You're just
As long
like,
as they
"Your
die.
siblings
As long as
will
they
be
die before I
fine."
can buy my own house. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Just hang in for a few more decades.
You got this. The basis line.
Scrape by until then.
You're like, I got it at some point.
yeah.
No, my parents just saw me do stand up in the first time in like years.
Yeah.
And there was like surprise. So I couldn't, it was in Richmond.
Oh yeah.
So it was like just a month ago, and they were like, we're on our way, like coming to see you. So I couldn't even like adjust
Yeah.
my set or anything. So like I was like, I didn't know you guys were coming, so you're gonna hear some shit. Like, it's gonna get weird. It's gonna get weird.
My parents have seen me I live 6 minutes from my parents. They have seen me a combined 5 times.
Nice.
5 times. And I told a blowjob joke in front of my dad for the first time. And because my car was broken down, he drove me to the gig and like an hour away. And he's like, yeah, I'll stay for the show. I'm like, you shouldn't stay for the show.
Yeah, please don't.
So I'm like, all right. And told the joke. I'm like, yeah, I just told that in front of my dad, everybody. And I got a good
I
response.
did 15 minutes on sex toys in front of my parents.
That must have been great. At least we didn't drive together.
Yeah, at least I didn't have to go back to their house with them afterwards. It's like, we have some follow-up questions.
Like, hey, how about we don't talk to each other for 2 weeks?
Yeah, how about we limit our contact?
I'm checking out some of the comments we got here.
Make fun of my shirt.
Let's see.
My face, I can't.
Nobody yet.
I can't change the face.
Let's see. Stephen Brown says,
Of course.
Weird Al movie being directed being directed in Endicott, New York. Native Eric Apnell. Okay,
Oh.
so or
Appel?
Eric Appel.
Hell yeah.
Appel,
I went to school with his sister, Holly.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it would have been greater if she talked to me. That's cool. No, Eric, I think, used to work in The Simpsons.
That's
he
awesome.
created Son of Zorn.
Oh wow. Okay.
Fox. Yeah, it was last a year. It was pretty good. It was
Yeah.
Jason Sudeikis, I think. And no, it was good. But I'm almost positive he worked in The Simpsons. But I always, you know what? Maybe not. I think he did, but it might have been. I might have been thinking of Eric Stefani because I know he did. Or like Gwen Stefani's brother.
Either way, I have
but it's
no idea
Eric.
who the fuck
Yeah.
you're talking about. It's the most
Okay,
obscure
all right.
reference
He's
of all time.
He's got more money than us.
Yeah, either
That's-
way.
okay, he's
I
better
mean,
than us.
Dude, all you have to do is write one episode of The Simpsons. You
Pretty
probably
much,
have
yeah.
more money
Yeah.
than both of us combined.
JW says the new Weird Al movie looks good. So and he is the movie guy.
He
so
is the movie guy.
So he's the guy to.
He's the guy to ask.
about that.
I mean, he likes too much stuff, though. That's what we argue about on the
Oh, yeah?
podcast all the time. I'm like, you think everything is good. I'm like, some of this sucks.
That's kind of how I am, though. If it makes me happy, I'm good with it. I don't care.
So there used to be.
I can't understand that low bar where you're like, you know what? Killed 2 hours.
You've seen who I
pretty
book,
easy."
right? You've seen who I book on my shows. I need a low bar.
See, so there used to be improv shows at the Scranton Cultural Center every Friday.
Yeah.
I remember those. Yeah, there was like an improv group and stuff too. Like they gave lessons, I think.
Yeah, JW, and there used to be like, here we are in
Spain.
Spain,
Yep.
something like that.
was
That
thinking
used to be a
Wayne,
whole group, and then there was another one. Yeah, there used to be so much stuff that went on around here. Now it's kind of like, people are like, I think I'll just get drunk.
Not a bad option.
Like the biggest bar in Scranton is what, backyard? And it's just like, you just stand in a backyard.
Oh yeah, do not do stand up there.
Yeah,
Do
no,
not-
I'm not.
no.
No.
Yeah. No. What? Well, we had it so we had a fundraiser there, and a friend of mine set it up for me, and she did a great job, and it was going I thought pretty well. Until the comics started telling their jokes, and then all of a sudden they're just like, "Nope, we're not doing this. We're shutting the whole thing down." And I'm like, because there was like a birthday party and stuff
Right.
there that decided to show up as well. And it's like, well, the venue's been booked, so like, just because you double booked it doesn't mean like these guys can't tell a couple of jokes. Like
Right.
that's so
Was
weird,
it
you
the
know?
front
Like
part or the back part?
it was the back part.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah,
'Cause
so-
usually they did stuff. It's always in the front.
I mean, they were afterwards they kind of realized their blunder and they
Yeah.
made it right and all that kind of stuff. But at the time, it was like, wow, this is like
Yeah.
you aggressively do not like jokes. Like, holy shit.
I've been in that situation before.
Yeah.
A lot of times where people are like, ugh, jokes. I'm like, my bad. I was
Very
told to
sorry about that.
show. Didn't know you guys didn't know. I'm here regardless.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Work through this together.
Well, what are some of the best venues for comedy in the area that maybe our viewers could go to, drive to, that sort of thing? What do you think that?
Karl Hall is fantastic.
Yeah, Karl Hall is awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, Karl Hall is super awesome.
That Karl Hall probably is I used to do a lot of stuff at the Keys. Keys was great. They were super supportive. Karl Hall, for me, is the nicest setup. And yeah, we have a show there last Friday of the month, so I'm partial. But like, that really is. I mean, I'm sure it's great for music. But it's got stage, nice lighting, everything.
Low ceiling.
It's
small.
it's intimate.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like Wisecrackers is great, but I mean, to go into like a small club, and I mean, we've done shows there, and the laughs are just incredibly loud, and it's not because we're really funny. We're okay, but it's just
really funny.
That's true. It's way louder when he's on stage. He's a dick. But no, I mean, it's a cool setting, and I don't know. Those are when people are there. You know what it is? I think for me, like, there's no TVs in Karl Hall, so people are there. They're there to watch comedy.
Right.
Like, they're not there to like,
Right.
oh, we're here on a Thursday night. And, oh, the Steelers. Oh no, they're not playing. Okay, I guess we'll watch these guys.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah, I mean, Karl Hall's awesome. Wisecrackers is awesome. I mean, right now there's not a lot of venues in the area that are doing comedy. So if anybody wants to do some comedy,
you know what?
let me know. But yeah, no, Karl Hall's unbelievable. It's got all the things that are perfect for comedy. It's a small box room, low ceilings. That's all you need. I mean, bars are not ideal.
no.
Right.
Ale Mary's used to have that cool spot.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had to reopen it, the speakeasy in the back.
Yes.
That place is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that they're not reopening it.
No, that just disappeared out of nowhere, yeah.
I think one underrated thing that Karl Hall has in any venue that's any good with comedy, the AJ is awesome, and like when you have an owner or a manager who's really behind the comedy show,
Right.
I mean, that could take an okay venue and put it really great, because you're gonna have some advertising behind it. You're just gonna have, you go in there knowing that they want to have a good show. They're not
Right.
like, there are times where I do a show and I'm like, part of me thinks like the manager is like kind of rooting for it to fail, so they don't have to do comedy shows again. So if we do well, all right, I guess we give them another month. But no, and I'm fortunate, like with Homebrewed Comedy, I do a lot of stuff in New York, and I've got a lot of really supportive owners and managers. And I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't have that. So it was just trying to do a show in a Legion Hall. It was like, oh yeah, we'll do this for you, and they never did anything. And
I
it
do
just,
love me some VFW. So.
I like them too, but if they're on board, they're great.
Yeah,
But yeah,
VFWs are awesome.
So, but I'm in Binghamton, and Binghamton, I don't know how Scranton or Wilkes-Barre has done it before, but in Binghamton, I had to, when I was trying to find new venues, I would have to pretty much apologize for previous comedians who produced shows or just had their audience there and they were rowdy and tore apart bathrooms, and so like it's to get a room and a manager on board with comedy is kind of an uphill battle. So because you're making good for previous sins.
Well, that's kind of like what NBA, what Scranton is like right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of venues where you have to be like, I'm sorry, what happened to you before?
Yeah.
But most of them are not willing. It's been so bad, they're like, nah, we're not doing that. We'd rather just have the room empty than try to do comedy again. And I'm like, damn, you got hurt bad.
Right?
Yeah. Show me on the doll where you got touched.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Let's see. Emily said it was a great show in Waverly. Did you guys do
Yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do that. And
Mike's entire fan club's
pretty much,
watching
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 people. That's my entire fan club.
the show.
No, yeah,
Carrying
it's O'Brien's. I've got that on Friday, and but the thing is, like when you're like, oh, I don't know what happened. Well, I think part of it is like there are really, really good comedians all over the place. You just got to find them, and then you got to book them and give good shows. Like the one in Waverly, it's Friday. I've got a guy named Steve Wrigley who is like one of the best comedians in New Zealand. He somehow is in New York now, so I'm like, all right, I'll put you to work. And then this guy Doogie Horner from Philly, he moved up and he was on America's Got Talent. So they're going to be at O'Brien's, and I have them working all over the place.
Nice.
So Doogie was just at Wisecrackers. Like there are a lot of funny people who are legitimately talented and will drive to entertain people. And I found that in small towns, and maybe Wilkes-Barre is a little bigger than my usual town, but like people come out to see comedy shows. So as long as you can put a good product consistently in place, people will support it.
So tell us about the Homebrewed Comedy series and how that whole thing started and how it kind of expanded into these different venues.
Well,
how did you put that together?
Well, I've been producing shows almost as long as I've been doing stand-up. And Paul can probably attest to this a little bit, although he is way more talented than I am. Producing shows was the best way for me to get on stage.
Yeah.
And because, they took a vote and everybody said, you're not good enough. I was like, I'll find a back door to this. But no, this bar I referenced earlier, Matty B's, they wanted stand-up pretty much every week. And nobody wanted to do it. And I came around and I'm like, I'm hosting the open mic at that point. And I'm like 6 months in, 8 months in. And I said, well, I'll produce a show every Friday. And they're like, all right. And what I wanted to do was bring in different people from around town. Like I would go to a mic in Syracuse and Ithaca and Scranton. And I'm like, well, I don't want to keep having the same 7 or 8 Binghamton comedians on stage.
Right.
I would like to get people who are working hard in Scranton involved. And like at the time, like Angela Petrillo and Elliot were big in the scene, and Eric Drexler and Dan Hopples at Hammond. Like there's a lot of talent down here. So I'm like, all right, let me bring them up. And we did a weekly show there. And then I was like, all right, well, I want to do stuff in other venues because nobody's coming to see us. I mean, we had our crew, but I'm like, well, the people in Endicott don't know to go to Binghamton. So I started getting venues, and then I was working in a group and broke away because I wanted to do more things at more venues than my group wanted. And I'm like, all right, so I'll do that. And then I named a show Homebrewed Comedy, and it was at a brewery in Binghamton called Galaxy. And then this owner at Buried Acorn in Syracuse said, hey, would you bring Homebrewed Comedy up here? And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe that's a name I can use for brewery shows.
Yeah.
Then the pandemic came, and I was like, you know what? I was naming all my stuff comedy night at whatever venue.
Ah,
I'm like, what if I just did Homebrewed Comedy? Just brand it like that. And I got a banner made. My friend Danielle made a logo for me. And I'm like, okay, I can run with this. And what I do is I basically go town to town booking. I've got about 100 plus people on my roster of comedians that I go to. And I can vary up the lineup. So like there's a place like in Syracuse where I've used one comedian twice, 2 comedians twice in 15 months of shows. So I mean, I host the shows, so you've got to put up with me for a little bit. But Paul's been up there. That's a major detriment. But Paul's come up there, and like he's legitimately funny, and he's got an album behind him. He's working on his second one. He's got club experience. He's at Funny Bone in Syracuse, right? Have you done Syracuse yet?
Yeah, well, in the past.
So he did the Funny Bone in Syracuse. Now he's coming across the street and doing a bar show here. Like there's so many talented comedians around there. So I wanted to give them a stage. So right now I've got about 20 rooms up in New York and one in Pennsylvania, and so I can get a lot of people work, and I have a lot of fun doing it. So Homebrewed is basically local talent.
Right.
And I'm like, I want to keep it that way, and yeah, it plays off well with a bar. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I get a lot of pride out of getting people work and showing that there are a lot of talented people in everybody's backyard.
Yeah.
Not literally, thankfully, but it's just there's just a lot of funny people around.
Yeah, it took, as a reporter, it took me years to figure out that, like, wow, there really is like a local comedy scene.
Yeah.
Like these guys are doing really great stuff.
That's the frustrating part, because I'll still get people, and I've been doing comedy in the same area for like 6-7 years, and I've been producing for 5. I still get people saying, I didn't know Binghamton had comedy. I'm like, damn it! What else do I have to do?
Yeah.
Do I have to do a show in your backyard? Because I will.
Right.
I'll do a show anywhere.
Yeah, just give me a speaker and a microphone.
I got it in my car, man. I'll say that's why I bring it up with me.
I'm ready.
Yeah. I'm to show, yes, now. What? All right.
So to put together these shows, are you kind of thinking, when you're putting together the lineup, are you thinking like, oh, these comedians will work really well together, or that sort of thing?
Yeah, I try to do it. I try to be fair in how I book, but I do things like if I have a first show, let's say I want to go monthly with a show, I'll get Paul on board because I know Paul's a hammer and he's going to be very funny. He'll probably close, and then I'll get somebody else who's really. I mean, ideally, everybody I book is very funny, and they're going to get laughs.
Sure.
But once the room is established, I can say, okay, well,
He had to say that because some of them were watching.
yes, at least one, Emily. But no, I want, like, if I have like the third or fourth show, I'm like, all right, I haven't worked with this guy before, so let me throw him there. I'll take a gamble. It's a safe bet, but I'll put 2 really good comedians to take the pressure off him or her afterwards. So, like, I don't know, I want to make sure that, you know, the humors aren't the same,
Right.
but that they'll blend well together. Zach Hammond is a very dark comedian.
Right.
And
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, I'll put him with a Rochester comedian, Andy Kuhn, or RJ Papura. They're also pretty dark, and they're really good writers. So they'll complement each other. So I try to do that. Like they're absolutely not going to tell the same jokes or exactly the same style, but they will. I kind of think of it sometimes like I'm making a mixtape or a mix CD, depending on how old you are. And so I want
to pick up chicks.
I want a good. Yeah, I want a good. Maybe,
I made this for you. It's all the songs that
Here's a
express my
lineup.
love.
But I want them to transition well to each other.
Right.
So nothing will be jarring.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I also think about, okay, well, I haven't worked with Paul in a little while. I haven't worked with Zach in a little while. So I want to be fair. And I do get people saying, hey, why has it been 3 months since you booked me? I sent you a tape a while ago. So I'm like, there's some times where I'm like, shit, all right, I'll get you off my back. But, you know, it just happens. So, you know, so if there's a tip. Anybody wants to be booked by me,
Just be annoying. You have to be. There's so many people.
There's so many people, and that's like, I try to be fair, and I really want to see. That's why I go out of town on open mics. I was just in Danbury. That's not a town. Sunbury and Danville. I combined the two. It's not Connecticut. But Sunbury and Wilkes-Barre. I just went out there and I saw new people, and I feel like it's my duty to go and see the talent around, so I don't miss out on somebody.
Right.
And because I've got a bunch of rooms, and eventually I'm gonna run out of new people. So, you know, because I always think of it too, like I wanted to be booked by somebody.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to be asked to do a show, and I like.
Did you want to be booked by you?
No, are you kidding me? I want a good host. No, but I want to make people feel good too. So
Yeah.
it's a point of pride. I've got a list of comedians I booked, and I think it's like 193 people. So like I'm always trying to, like, I set goals. I'm like, all right, well, get 30 new people this year, and you know, so I'm trying to you know, validate somebody's work.
Sounds exhausting.
It is, but I have OCD and ADD, and this helps me.
Yeah.
It helps put me to sleep at night.
It's like listening to the Simpsons podcast.
Pretty much, I do that too.
Very weird.
Only 120 episodes to go. OCD.
So if you're trying to pitch yourself to somebody or something like that, do you have like, oh, my style is this or that, or I talk about these particular topics, or you know?
That's always a hard question for me, because I'm just like, oh, I'm self-deprecating. I don't. One of the things I do is say I don't do political humor, and I like it. I also think Stephen Colbert and his writers do it a whole lot better than I do. And then I don't want to. I host a lot of the shows, so I don't want to alienate people right away.
Right.
I'll let the headliner do that. So like Steve Wrigley can come over and say all about how America sucks and New Zealand's better.
Yeah.
I feel like you can do that. We've already had them for an hour. We've had them laugh. Now let's test them. Last thing I want to do is have 8 people walk out right away. I'm like, okay, that's gonna hurt. No, but I, you know, I'm happy on stage, and you know, I'm a little dark. I'm all over the place because I try
There's
to.
a lot of cat jokes.
Yeah, a lot of cat jokes. Yeah. Try not to write them.
Dude,
I got 3 cats, man.
I don't know how you're now writing.
I know.
When are you trying to stop writing cat jokes? 'Cause I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the cat joke pause.
I got my girlfriend. I hang out with the dog. Like I hang out with the dog. It's like, yeah, we go on dates. But like he lives with me part time, and whenever she's up, and she leaves him every once in a while, and I'm like, I have no dog jokes, and I'm not sure if I am able to write a dog joke. I have so many cat jokes.
Yeah.
That maybe I don't know if they can coexist. But no, I just say, yeah, I'm a good person, I try to be a good person at least, and I'll make fun of me more than anybody else. But I do tell people, I'm like, hey, I book good people.
Yeah, is that your pitch to the venue? Like, I'm a good guy.
Honest to God, I got a business card.
I'll treat your venue nice.
I got a business card and it says "good guy" on it. but one of my pitches is I don't book assholes, and I just don't book jerks, and you know they're nice jerks, if anything. But no, I like working with good people because I don't want to. Why would you book somebody you don't like? You wouldn't want to hang out with. So
I don't like a lot of people.
That's true. That's true. Good reason.
What about you? How do you describe what you do, if you do at all, or you just kind of be like, oh, I'm a comic, I tell jokes, that's it?
I mean, it depends. It's whatever mood I'm in. But if anybody asks me, I just say I'm self-deprecating. It's not raunchy,
Right.
but it's like dirty adjacent. I'm not clean. I can be, but it's not fun. So if you want me
Well,
to be,
of course.
I can, but I don't particularly enjoy it.
Right.
I just poke fun. I don't really do politics. I dip my toe in it, but I don't take sides.
Yeah, he's pretty good about that.
Yeah.
He'll argue both sides on it.
Okay.
And I think especially if you're doing comedy locally, it's kind of what you want. Unless you're Bill Burr, and you can count on this audience coming back. I think that's a really safe play.
But
Right.
yeah,
It's
it's
good at
kind of like you can't. Everybody's aggressive about which side they support. So you have to kind of be like, this side sucks and this side sucks. They both suck, and then everybody's like, yeah, that's fine. They do both suck. As long as you you can't pick one over the other one. But they make it so easy. It's like I don't want to watch like right political jokes, but when you're just like the world forces it on you, where you're like, this is so ridiculous. It's hard not to talk about.
Right.
But venues, it depends on the venue. So that's what I always like. I did it before we started. I'm like, what can't I say?
Right.
And that's I always make that a very strict rule. As soon as I get to a venue, what can't I say? And if you don't tell me and I say it and you're upset, that's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't tell me.
Right.
So like you never know how, because comedy's random. So it can go any direction. So you have to tell me which direction you don't want me to go. Because if you don't, I'm gonna probably. It might go there.
Right.
So
Paul and I were at Wisecrackers a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and he goes, all right, light me at 20, or no, the manager lit him at 20. He was gonna do 20 minutes of clean jokes, and he did really well. And then he got a light saying that he had done the 20, and he goes, all right, you guys don't need to know this, but I just did 20 minutes of clean material. Now I'm fucking done, or something like that. And the last 5 minutes, destroyed. And he comes on stage and goes, that made me mad.
it didn't make me feel good about my clean material. It was like as soon as I set myself loose, they started having more of a. I was like, God damn it!
But his clean stuff is really funny, and they liked it too. But Paul will never get off stage and say, "Oh, I killed." Like he finds something that's wrong with him. Like, and where I'm like, that was all off the top of your head. You're an asshole. Like you complain to somebody else.
Right.
Because I worked hard for that moniker of laughter.
It happens.
And you both play the host in a lot of shows,
Yeah.
and I think that's an interesting challenge too. That maybe like your average person doesn't really understand how that works. You know, that the host kind of comes in and introduces each comic, but you also kind of tell jokes and stuff in between and kind of keep the night moving. So like, how do you go about? Is that a different process because you're writing jokes specifically to kind of go in between sets, or are you just kind of breaking up the set that you usually do? Or
it depends on how you like what the style is. I have people. I don't know if you go through this too, but I host a lot of shows, and like every show I produce, I host, and unless it's like a women's show, and I've only hosted one of those, weirdly enough. But I've had people ask me, like, hey, like I'll host these shows, and I'll post about them, and somebody's like, oh. Are you doing stand up too? I go, are you on the show? I go, yeah, I'm hosting. She goes, yeah, but when you can tell jokes, I go, I am. It was like you're just going first. Like that's it. There's nothing different except for like you're going up in front of a cold audience.
Right.
Like it's not warm for you, and you don't know what jokes are gonna work and what jokes aren't gonna work. At least not have an inside edge. But I'm like, yeah, like people don't understand that. For me, like the shows I don't do a whole lot of material between the comedians because I usually book like 3 or 4 person shows, and my philosophy is, if a guy just killed, I don't want to gamble and screw up the momentum. So I'm like, you know what? All right, cool. Paul Spratt did really well. Here's Zach Hammond, or the other way around. It doesn't matter. But it's like I want to get out of there. I'll say what I have to say. I'll plug the next show. I'll do whatever I need to do. But I get out of there. And if somebody doesn't do well, then yeah, you vamp a little bit. You've got things to go. But no, for me, I think the hardest part is just starting the show. You get the first couple jokes that work, and you're like, okay, cool. Everything's normal now. Like the baseline's a little higher. But for me, I mean, that's it. I mean, I'm so used to hosting that when I'm asked to do a show, I assume I'm hosting it. And, you get kind of typecast in there. But for the most part, it's not a whole lot different for me than featuring or something like that. You just don't get as much time.
I mean, I think hosting is where you learn the most how to do stand-up. Okay. Every situation comes from hosting. Crowd work. I mean, your jokes work for sure because the crowd isn't warm yet. So if they're getting a laugh there, then the joke's good. It's just like every situation, you have to, if a comic does bad or a comic does too good, that's where you learn how to do all that stuff. And the feature spot or the middle spot, it's the easiest spot. It's cake. Yeah. It's the first and last spot are the hardest spots. You have the middle, like nobody usually, if you do well, people remember you. If you do bad, usually don't remember you because they're focused on the first guy they saw or the last guy who was the bigger name or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, if the last guy, they're the last person you see. So if the last guy sucks, the show sucked.
Right.
So you're going to leave and be like, that wasn't that good. But if the host is really good, I mean, most of the show's usually going to be pretty good. Like,
yeah. I had a show recently with 7 people, and it was rough. And I had a good set, and everybody did well, and the people were rooting for us, I think. And at the end of the show, it's a monthly, and I'm like, all right, well, our next show is July 1st. Come back here. And this older guy got up. He and his wife were so much fun during the show. And he got up, and he's like, hey, are you going to be at the next show? And I'm like, yeah, why? Immediately, I'm like, oh, if I say no, will you come? And I go, yeah, I'll be there. And he goes, I said, why? He goes, cool, we'll be here. And I'm like, thank God. You go that way.
Would you unbook yourself just so those guys would go?
I'd lie to him.
You'd be like, I'm not
going to I'd absolutely lie to him. I'm like, all right, I'll find a different host. I'll make up a guy.
It's actually a different guy.
Oh, he bailed. I'm sorry.
It's still me.
My twin brother will be there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Much funnier than me.
Yeah, absolutely.
He also wears cargo pants.
He's got one uniform. It hasn't changed since 2001.
Yeah. I don't even know, like, what do you put in those pockets?
Anything I want, Paul.
Like, what do you need that much space for?
There's sometimes, like, I don't know what's in this pocket. You want to find out?
I don't understand. Like, why are you carrying
Hey,
so
oh my
much
God,
stuff?
there's money in this.
Oh.
How's that possible? I didn't know I had money.
Well, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's something you don't see every day. A comic with money in their pocket.
It's like a hand-me-down pants.
That's why all my pockets are empty. I don't care. I have nothing to carry.
Yeah, I really thought I was that destitute. No, I enjoy hosting. I don't know about you, but I enjoy hosting the shows.
Sometimes I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't. It depends. Sometimes it's a chore. It's just like, I don't know. I still do it because you want to keep that muscle loose, because that keeps you on your toes. It keeps your brain sharp. But sometimes, man, if you host an open mic and there's like 30 people, you're like, this.
Mics are tough.
Yeah.
Mics are tough to host.
Yeah.
There are times, like the only time I think about quitting comedy is when I have a bad set after I host an open mic. And I'm like, what is the point?
No, those ones don't count.
I know they don't, but man, but I still, I'm like, oh, it goes against the bad and average. And no, I think it might have been the second show I ever did with Paul, maybe first or second. I was coming down here and I was supposed to feature, and then I think you were like, oh, you didn't want to host, so like I'm like 10 minutes away.
Sounds like me.
And he sends a message, goes, hey man, would you mind hosting? And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm like, man, I host every goddamn show I do. Like,
Yeah.
So he's like, you might host? I'm like, no, I can do that. And I'm like, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was Bar and Company.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was a really good show too.
Yeah. Some of them were good.
Yeah.
Like 75% of them were good.
I always had fun there.
I mean, it's a cool room for comedy. It's just bars are hard to do comedy in. So it's like the bars are always prioritize getting people drunk.
Yeah.
And then comedy just happens to happen while that occurs.
Right.
And there's no like, all the venues want to make their money, so they're not going to deter people from they're not going to remove people because they're being rowdy because they're still drinking.
No, yeah.
So it's the Wild West. You have to battle, and you have to win.
Now, is that also, more of a Pennsylvania thing? Because we were talking about, Pennsylvania crowds and how tough they can be. Is it more so than New York? Considering you guys have done both.
New York's a different monster, but it's like a different type of people. Just blue collar people party hard. I don't know what it is. It's just NEPA gets drunk, and they like to drink.
Yeah.
But most of them, they're like fun drunk people. It's just every once in a while you get the ones that are just idiots. But like that's gonna happen anyway. It's like
Sure.
Yeah, I've been at shows in Connecticut where like 3 bachelorette parties come in. You're like, it's the luck of the draw. You just like see them come in with dick straws, and you're like, fuck.
I just did an 18-person bachelorette party, and like, yeah, it would have been better if there weren't 21 people in the audience. And then, the mother of the bride sat in the front, and I said fuck in my second sentence or something like that, and she covered her ears in horror. And
no.
I'm like, you're in for a rough
Do they have
night.
dick straws?
No, but
I was going to say, I was like,
they
fuck's
sat
offensive,
as
but you
far.
have a dick straw? Like,
No,
that
well,
makes no
I mean,
sense.
the only things that worked was when I did crowd work on them. That was the only thing they cared about. And
Because
they
they want
said
it to be about them.
that's what Ham was there. I feel like I'm writing a love letter to Zach Hammond, but
You are.
yeah, but he was in there and he tore. I mean, they left and he tore them apart to the remaining people. But
3 people that were left.
oh god, thankfully there were more people inside. We couldn't see during the show, but I played. I mean, one of them said, "When is the next one coming on?" I was like, 3 minutes. And then I left right when he started. So I'm like, fine. I was like,
perfect.
thank God.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't want that ego blow. Like you can ask me when the next guy's coming up, but don't you dare laugh at him. Like that's just, you're hurting my feelings on purpose.
I guess.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just can't get them.
Yeah.
And then somebody figures it out. It's like a puzzle.
It was funny because like I did the same set at Wisecrackers and Killed. And I'm like, all right, here we go. And they're like jokes that work all the time.
We did that
Like,
biker bar show that was just for the employees.
Yes. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
booked some show. It was like in
Yeah, Kirkwood,
middle of New York,
Binghamton.
nowhere New York. It's
Yeah.
like it's definitely a biker, but it looked like it came from like dusk till dawn. You
Yeah.
pulled up and you're like, "This is where I'm gonna die. There's vampires here."
I don't do shows. No, it was. They ended up. They called it like, or maybe you called it.
I called it the employee appreciation show because no actual audience showed up. It was just everybody who worked there.
No, that's not entirely true. But like they were relatives of the people who worked there. It's like it was
okay.
like 2 degrees of separation.
Friends and family.
It was weird, yeah. And it was like maybe 8 people, 9 people.
Yeah, I slowly
like-
went around the room. I was
Yeah.
like, "How did you find out? Well, he works here. I'm like dating him." I was
It's
like,
crazy,
this is
yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah.
But comedy's that happens to everybody. And those are the fun stories you always hear on like comedian podcasts. It's like they're not talking about, I did an arena last week and 20,000 people and it went awesome. Like it's the easy shows are easy.
A new comedian asked me. He was just booked by somebody he didn't know well, and the guy that wasn't a well-known producer. And he goes, "Well, should I do it?" I go, "Absolutely, you should do it." Because he's like, "Why?" So first, you need the experience. Second, you're gonna want to tell that story on a podcast someday. Like, you want that first show, and obviously you don't want it to go well. But part of me is like, okay, well, I want his first show to be kind of rough, so he has something to build up. And
Yeah, that's
say,
true.
Okay, well, here's a reference point to like, oh, I played this at Tinks, and the only guy I saw was behind a pillar, and it didn't work. So I don't know. It's part of the fun for comedy is the bad shows, in hindsight.
I guess.
Yeah.
Until you're like driving home from a bad show.
Oh, right in the moment they
Yeah.
suck. They're tough. But like when you look back in like 6 months, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that wasn't okay. I get
Yeah.
it.
When you're driving home with no music on because
none.
the show is so bad.
None.
It's like,
And you're like, oh, my mom and dad were right. Like I'm not
Yeah.
going anywhere.
I gotta imagine it's like an amplified sort of thing because, like, I think about like I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be like, God, why in 7th grade did I fucking say that?
Yeah.
And in front of all those people, and I completely embarrassed myself. You guys are doing it in front of fucking crowds. Like,
Yeah.
you say the wrong thing or, the doesn't go well or whatever. I'd be beating myself up forever. So, like, you guys got to have thick skin.
But if you think about it in a different way, like you take that moment from 7th grade that made you feel like shit.
Yeah.
Like, now you can go on stage and talk about that, and now
Right.
you kind of redeem yourself. Like, oh, that happened to me in 7th grade. Now I'm getting theoretically paid to say it in front of people.
That's true.
You know, you got that. But if you make an ass out of yourself, like I just tell myself, well, I'm going to get another show. Like, I'm not going to get fired from being a stand-up.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I won't get
Well,
booked
it depends
again
on
by
what
somebody.
you say that one time.
Right. Well, thankfully, I don't roll the camera too often. But no, it's like you know, you're not going to get fired from the industry, really, not at our level at least, or my level rather. And Paul's a little higher. But no, I don't know. I don't think about that really.
I don't really say stuff I regret on stage.
Yeah, neither do I.
Off stage a lot. I say a lot of stuff I regret off stage, but on stage, most times I already thought of what I was gonna say, and if I'm in a moment, if you made me mad enough to say mean stuff to you, I don't care. Like, I will say mean stuff to you.
Right.
But if you know that you pushed me to there, because it takes me a lot to be like, all right.
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, I'll still think about stuff that I said forever ago. That's just how it's like. But it's always off stage. I never regret anything I say on stage. Because I think you have control. It's different.
Yeah.
One-on-one conversations are weirder to me than strangers in an audience. Because you'll never see most of them again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, maybe you'll see some of them again, but like, it's a chance encounter, kind of. So like, if I go to Ohio and, you know, I'm probably going to say maybe some of those people again, but who knows? Like,
That's true.
when you say weird stuff in life, it's usually the person you're going to see pretty often. Like, so it's a different vibe.
Or that's the reason you don't see them anymore.
Yeah. That's why I'm alone in my office a lot.
So, Paul, you have a open mic too that you just started as well.
Did trying to build comedy back up in Scranton. The dude who owns Finnegan's, it's an Irish rock, another rock club.
Yeah.
That's the vibe. I was looking for a venue for a long time. Somebody pointed me to him, and he was very interested. And so far, it's been awesome. So
That's great.
I have a great story.
Yeah, so it's getting bigger. A lot of comics are coming through. So if you haven't come, I highly encourage. Stand up and poetry. It seems to go well together. I don't know why, but it seems to work. And do it every week. It's been getting better and better. And I've seen comics I've never heard of before, so it's cool. And you get a good blend of comics, like you said at your mic, when professionals and people who are doing it for the first time.
Yeah.
I have 3 students that came from my comedy class at Wisecrackers that go to it every week now. So, I mean, slowly but surely, maybe it'll get people excited about comedy again in Scranton. We'll see. But, then it's something that's starting. I know it's on every Thursday at 8 o'clock. I know that's party on the patio, but like, take a break from drinking, or don't take a break. Drink at Finnegan's.
Drink at Finnegan's.
Drink at
Yes.
Finnegan's.
Yes. More of a low key show.
Yeah, but I mean, support local artists. It's like what we should do.
Absolutely.
It's what we used to do.
You know, and I think too, a lot of people I get all the time that like they'll go to like a poetry thing and they'll be like, oh, I didn't think I was going to like that, but I ended up really liking it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, you have to actually like give things a chance and experience them for yourself. You know,
When
you
I
can't.
first brought up starting it was with Monk. I was like, hey, let's do a combo thing, and he was like, yeah, that'd be dope. And then the first night, the comics were like, I don't know, man, poets. It's like, is it this like? I don't know. It's gonna be a weird vibe. Like, poets are weird, and I'm like, nah, it's gonna be cool. And then a couple of them came through for the first one. The comics were like, you know what? That's really like, it's cool. It's not a full change of pace, and it's
Right.
almost like inspiring. And some of the poets actually are funny too, so it's like a good crossover. And I'm like, yeah, you just had to give it a chance. You just
So
had
even
to
the
see,
comedians
I knew it
had a
would
little
work.
bit of a
It's
tough
all
time.
spoken word. It's kind of the same vein in a way.
Sure.
So, and yeah, it's been really well. So I hope it keeps growing.
Nice.
And I hope more people come. But yeah, a lot of people are reaching out to me to it. So last week it was pretty full. So hopefully it continues. But summer is hard for comedy too. So
Right.
people don't want to be inside. Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, too, I want to make sure that we could talk a little bit about your podcast, too. So you guys have your own shows. You have On the Mic, and you're specifically focusing on comics?
Yeah, so I started, it's On the Mic with Mike Peters, because I'm not very creative. And, but I started this back in 2019, and the goal was to reach out and highlight the hardworking comedians around the Binghamton area and like the surrounding areas, the people I book, and kind of have people get an insight on who they're going to see. And then the pandemic happened, and I was like, okay, I have to get creative, and I used to take all my stuff and go to a library, which is fun because I've never seen the inside of a library before.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, this is neat. And then the pandemic came, and I had to get creative. I had to learn how to do everything over Zoom and some other service. And but Zencaster, I'm mad at them because I wouldn't say the name. But
I'm mad at
it was good for a while. But
It was such an angry old man
It ended up
statement.
just being a
Mad
tax
at them.
write-off, so whatever.
Yeah.
But so I reached out to people in California and Idaho, and so I was like, okay, well I have this list, and now I want to get comedians from every state, and I've got like 8 more states to go. But I planned on having people repeat as guests, and I haven't done that. So I've got 144 episodes banked right now, and all different comedians.
Wow.
So and again, it goes back to like there's local talent everywhere. And what I want to do is like I don't have a whole lot of big names on the podcast, but I have people who are working, and most people have started anywhere between like 2010 and 2017, and it's fun to see the talent. But yeah, it's like an hour. We'll talk for an hour and 20 minutes or so, and about stand up and what got them started. Like you asked what inspired you, comedically, and like Simpsons is a big through line in Living Color. So it's been a whole lot of fun, and it keeps me busy. And I went to school for broadcasting and journalism, and it's kind of like, it's kind of a way to justify the money my parents paid for my college.
Yeah.
It's not bringing any money back, but at least I'm doing something for it. So it's a lot of fun, and it's a good networking tool too. So I can, there's a guy up in Binghamton who I've worked with for 4 years at the time. Don't even know if I had a conversation with him, but we were on the podcast, and I got to know his whole story. So it's kind of fun, and it's if nothing else, it's a great way to kill some time for me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's such a great pitch.
Hey, whatever, man.
Listen, man, it kills an hour and 20.
Sure does.
Yeah, my 24 hours a day. Super busy. What's my reason to listen to Mike on the mic?
Yep.
If you're really bored for an hour and 20
You're
minutes.
bored, you gotta know the podcast, man. Check it out.
If
You're
Joe
fine.
Rogan hasn't released a new episode yet, you can tune in to me.
Hey, mine's shorter than his, so it works out.
3 hours is a long time.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
No, my back's sweaty now. I can't even imagine in 3 hours.
And I've got a Sopranos watch podcast.
Oh,
My buddy
okay.
Bill Russell in Lewisburg and I, we had never watched an episode of The Sopranos. So we decided to watch one and then have people listen to our reactions to it. And so it's fun. It's the only drag with that is like I want to watch the freaking show more than once a week.
Right.
Pretty good show, I've heard. Like, it's okay.
What season are you on now?
We're halfway through season 3.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, it's good.
You really missed out on that
Oh yeah.
train.
Well, the whole thing was like the tagline.
Maybe
was
you
like,
could do Game of Thrones next.
the tagline we had was like, we were busy the last 22 years. So we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, we're going to get it.
And you have Loud and Nerdy, right?
Yeah, it's me and J-Dubs, the old movie guy, Weekender, PA Live, all that stuff. He moved to Florida. And then during the pandemic, we were like, nothing going on. So like, let's talk some movies. And then we just kept doing it. So now every Wednesday at 8, except for this one. Well, they're still doing it. But Rich Dries from Film Buff Online fills in for me because I'm gone a lot. Yeah, and we just talk about movie news. And usually I haven't watched most of the stuff JW talks about. He always likes stuff. I'm always mad about everything. So if you're looking for a podcast, 2 people agree on stuff, it's not ours because I argue a lot. Because I think a lot of stuff sucks.
That's good though. That's
Yeah.
good though.
And then I'm starting a new mental health podcast, but it's not going to start.
You're
until
starting
July.
that? Why?
Because I have mental health issues.
Oh, you're not trying to make people better.
No, I'm not trying to fix people.
All right,
I'm
makes
trying
sense.
to talk through
now
mine.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Not like, hey, let me fix you. And like, I'm I'm not fixed. Let's talk about it.
The podcast is a lot cheaper than a copay.
Yeah.
So I
I have therapists too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The team, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking about adding. I have one currently, but I was like, maybe I'll go with another one.
So you're talking about like movies or comics and anything else, or just movies
No,
strictly?
it's all like anything pop culture. So comics. We have the guy from Comics on the Green every once in a while. He's awesome. Dave. And then, we'll talk comics, movies, TV, music. Very rarely music, but it's mostly just nerd stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a good time. Yeah, if you want
What stuff do you like?
I mean, lately it's been rarer and rarer. I used to like a lot of stuff. I don't know. Just the stuff is rubbing me the wrong way lately. JW was like, you hate everything lately. I'm like, maybe because everything sucks. Like, maybe they make better stuff. Like, we argued last week how Obi-Wan sucks. I don't think it's good.
I've had a few arguments over that.
Yeah.
Like, I literally, you know what? The other day I was just like, I made one little comment and it just turned into a firestorm. I'm like, delete. I'm not even interested in like fighting with these people about it. And I said, if you don't like me anymore because of my opinion on fucking Star Wars of all things, like, good. We're not really friends. We're whatever. You know, like, I don't care. Like, to me, it's like I want to hear what your opinion is. I'd be like, I love this show, and someone goes, I fucking hate it, and I'm like, cool, all right, well, tell me why you hate it.
Well,
like,
it.
That's what I want to have the conversation about. I think a lot of people just kind of take sides of like, you're either you like this and you like this and whatever. Because Star Wars is such a weird thing too, because now we're all divided into certain fandoms. Like, I only like the original trilogy and nothing else. Well, I only like the prequels and nothing really else. Or I like all of those movies, but then anything when Disney took over, they ruined everything,
garbage,
and now it's all terrible.
No,
like,
Star Wars is just as bad as politics.
yeah, it's so bad now.
Wild.
It really is.
But somebody complained about our last episode of Loud and Nerdy because we argued for about 30 minutes about how Obi-Wan is trash. And it was like right in the beginning. Like, I came out of the gates, I was like, fuck that show. Fuck you for liking it. And he was like, what? He's like, but I'm just tired of like, they're like, here's Darth Vader, that's cool. And you're like, no, tell a good story.
Right.
Like, don't just give me nostalgic stuff and be like, yeah. Like, no, they was cool because you did cool stuff. Not just be like, bring old stuff back for the fun of bringing old stuff back.
I think too, the more that they do that too, and they rely on that stuff, the more holes it puts in the original movies, which are masterpieces in themselves, in my opinion. Even though obviously everything has its flaws, but like they're, to me, especially growing up with them, they're untouchables. And then I look at something like that, and I'm like, okay, so Princess Leia now in A New Hope is like, you know, contacting Obi-Wan through R2, and she's putting the thing in there. And you knew my father in the Clone Wars. Never thought to mention, oh yeah, and you saved me. Remember that time that I got kidnapped by a bunch of guys, including Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then you saved me from those kidnappers, and then we had our own little adventure and stuff. Never mentions any of that, and then never brings it up when they actually meet again.
They were too busy fighting wars. Time to reminisce.
Yeah, so it's like when you really start digging into that stuff, they get bigger and bigger. Like, maybe just leave that stuff alone.
Baselines.
I was just surprised that they went with the whole like, you know what Star Wars needs? More child actors, because that worked so well for episod 1. Like, people loved that like, we should definitely put more child actors.
That's what I was so mad about. I was like, why do you keep making the same mistakes over and over, and you know people hate it? It's just like, and all the good guys in Star Wars are always just hiding on planets, not doing anything. Like, sweet, like the bad guys are very, ambitious in this Star Wars, but the good guys are like, maybe I just wait it out, and they're like, what?
We're going from like these inquisitors who are like literally hanging a guy and chopping a hand off in front of a group of people, and the next scene's like Princess Leia running around. I'm a little kid. We're running through the woods, having a good time. I'm like, what is this?
Star Wars we're the villains are the better, cooler people. They're getting shit done. But I don't know. But it's a good show if you like watch two people argue.
Yes, it's great if you want to argue with people. That should be Star Wars like new slogan. Like, if you want to fight with people all the time, get into Star Wars.
Fictional space characters.
Yes, we'll all argue about it all day long.
Well, we like to argue about fictional political figures.
I can't lie though. So, all that was forgiven. I'm like, oh, okay, Vader showed up and he did some cool shit. That's kind of what I wanted to see.
See,
so,
they got you.
They totally got me.
Trap.
absolutely got me. I will 100%
That
admit
was like
that.
Book of Boba Fett sucked for 4 episodes, and they're like, "Here's the Mandalorian." I'm like, "This isn't the Mandalorian."
And same thing. I did not enjoy Boba Fett, and then they brought back Mandalorian. I'm like, yeah, I love Mandalorian. So just keep putting him on screen. I'm good.
Like, well, we need to save this show. Put the Mandalorian in there. But yeah, it's a good time podcasting.
All
We're
right.
doing it.
So I think we had one question from one of our interns. That's not me commenting on my own thing, by the way, because it's coming up NEPA Scene. That would just be really strange. What's your favorite venue in the area? And they also want to know what are some of your favorite comics.
Well, in the area, Karl Hall. Right now, that's the only one I really got. Wisecracker's great. I just want to work there again. No, those two are fun. I don't, in the Scranton Wilkes-Barre area, honestly don't know of any that are going anymore. I love the Keys. The Keys was fun.
Oh yeah, the Keys was so great.
Water now,
It was.
whatever.
I don't know what it is, but I loved that place. Stage West was fun at times. Worst show I ever had was Stage West, but it wasn't Stage West.
That's gone now too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's been sold, and be something else
How
at
did
some
that
point.
building get sold when there's like 8,700 empty buildings in Scranton? Like, you know what? The ones that's doing stuff, let's buy that one. Like,
right.
Yeah, stop doing stuff.
Yeah, maybe that's what,
Get this stage out of
some
here.
rich dude next door is like, I'm sick of these bands.
My favorite comedian going right now is probably Mike Birbiglia. I just love him as a storyteller. Mulaney's great. I'm a huge Norman fan. Joe List. I'd say those, but my all-time favorite's got to be Carlin still. That documentary on Carlin was so great.
I was just asking Paul if he saw that before the show. It was so good.
Like Apatow, Judd Apatow, all of his movies are 20 minutes too long. But that documentary, it was 4 hours, and it felt like it should have been longer.
Right.
You know, he really does. I mean, you could tell, like, he puts all the love in there with Gary Shandling and George Carlin. So it was really good. My dad called me, and he goes, "Hey," it's like 7 o'clock. I'm like, "Why is my dad? My dad never calls me." And he goes, "Hey, do you have HBO?" I'm like, "Yeah, we've known about this." And he goes, "Oh, George Carlin documentary's on." I go, "Yeah, do you know how streaming works? I got it already." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And that was it. That was our conversation.
He's like, "All right, I'll talk
yeah,
to you
like,
later."
all right, talk to you in 6 weeks, man. Well, yeah. What about you?
I mean, Wisecrackers, obviously. Karl Hall's dope. I know we keep repeating the same places, but that's the only places that comedy's happening right now. Finnegan's is pretty cool. That's pretty new, but hopefully more venues get on board. But yeah, I mean, Helium in Philly. I know that's not a local, but that's like the Mecca. It's the greatest place to do comedy on earth, I think. Which is where I'm recording my special. Go see it. My favorite comics, I mean, obviously Burr. I mean, obviously if you can't tell, I'm highly influenced by Burr, but I don't know where you've been. When I first started, before I started doing comedy, I loved Dane. Then I started doing comedy and didn't love Dane. Then heard stories about Dane and then loved him all over again. Because it's like his comedy wasn't like known as the best comedy.
Right.
But then you heard stories about how cool of a guy he was and like how he would just destroy. And he was like unfollowable. That's how he got so big. But I mean, yeah, Burr, Jeffries, Chappelle. I like guys that rub people the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna talk about the truth. I mean, who else? I like Nate Bargatze, which is weird, but he's a clean comic. But clean comedy is like impossible.
Being clean is like it's like telling the magic. Like clean comedians are magicians.
Yeah.
You know, to get everything without even the sexual innuendo is like
Like nothing. A great joke about milk at Starbucks. And you're like, damn. I mean, Goldman. I love Goldman. Robert Kelly. It's like all the old school, like around like the O&A era. It was been cool in my travels. I get to meet the people that I listened to growing up, and you're like, it's weird.
Yeah.
We're like, now we're in the same place. And you're like, this is cool. And he's like, it's not. Like, we're in the same place. I'm like, my bad.
we're in a mall.
I'm excited.
We're in a mall. This sucks. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh.
I'm like, it's cool. We can go to PacSun in between shows. But yeah, it's I mean, it's just I love comedy, so it's not like it's hard to pick one, but at the same time, it's like you have the type you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I gravitate towards storytellers. And I'm a little bit of a storyteller. I veered away from that.
Cats.
Cats, yeah. But like I was storyteller early in the career, and then I went back and I looked at my sets. I'm like, oh, there's no punchlines. I should stop. so I went one line, and I'm like, okay. I learned how to write a punchline, and then I kind of veered back towards storytelling, but not all the way back. And but Mike Birbiglia and John Mulaney for me, and Dimitri Martin is so good. Like I love when I get the joke and other people don't. and if I'm on a show with people, my favorite parts are when I got the joke and other people don't, because it's awkward. And the comedian, this joke always kills, and then it doesn't hit the one time, and I laugh so hard because I know what's going through his or her mind. Like, oh, what? We're just deer in headlights. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
watching
oh,
other
God, it's
comics
so fun.
work when you've worked with them a bunch
Yeah,
of times.
yeah.
It's interesting.
It's fun.
We're like, I know where this bit's going, and I know it works. And then the crowd's like, nah. And you're like, oh, that's weird.
Like, you don't want to be that person right now because you've been that person before. You're like, oh, it's fun. It's fun from the outside.
Yeah. We enjoy watching each other bomb more than
It's
do
great.
well.
It's so much fun.
It's like a
'Cause, like-
sadistic thing where it's like, he's suffering right now. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and we produce shows too, so it's like it's like we saw you struggle. It's not like we're not gonna book you again. We've seen you do really well before.
Right.
So now it's like, all right, well, that happened. So let's see how he rebounds. It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, they're all different.
Yeah.
Do we have any shows we want to plug coming up soon?
Yeah, I got that one in Waverly we talked about. If you look at homebrewedcomedy.com or go to Facebook, follow Homebrewed Comedy, all of my shows are there. And I've got a couple this week, Sherlevin Wines in King Ferry, New York, and Waverly, New York on Friday at O'Brien's Inn. Those are fun. And then we do a monthly at Karl Hall. It's the last Friday of the month. June 24th is this one. I'm not going to be there, so definitely go to this one. But Paul's taking the reins on the hosting duties, and he's fantastic. And Paul Kozlowski is coming down. He's been on the Chris Rock show and all over the place. He's a great comedian and excellent writer. And his buddy Charles Azell is coming, and that's gonna be a whole lot of fun. Tickets
It's only
are
$10.
$10.
Only $10.
$10. You can get in the door or online, and you'll get in there, and it's such a good venue, and you have a lot of fun. So that's the one.
BYOB.
BYOB, yeah.
Yeah, Karl Hall. And then, I mean, come to Finnegan's every Thursday. I don't think I have any other local stuff that's worth promoting. I'm out of town. So it's like, yeah, so.
And you have an album thing coming up?
I'm
Is that
recording
still?
October 26th at Helium in Philadelphia.
Oh, wow,
the,
okay.
The new 45. Everybody's like an hour. I'm like, I'm only doing 45.
And I've got Paul working. Like, if you like Paul, and you should like Paul, he's one of the best comedians around. And he'll say that in private times, but he won't say that publicly. But he really is somebody you have to see. And I'm fortunate that he's around here, and I get to work with him a lot. And man, he works for any amount of money.
Don't tell people that.
But no, he's awesome, and I've got him headlining Homebrewed Comedy shows for the rest of the fall, because he's going to be working out that 45, and I've seen a lot of it. I think, unless that's all been made up on the spot.
No, you've seen most of it.
But I've seen all of it, and it's awesome. So if you get a chance to see Paul Spratt, Karl Hall, Wisecrackers, wherever, go for it. It's worth it.
And Emily says you'll be in Sayre on the 29th, 25th? 25th.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Sayre VFW.
Is it Sayre? Is
Yep.
that how you say it?
Yep. Sayre.
Sayre.
Well, all right. That's why you're headlining, so you can listen to me and Billy Kelly
25th. Yeah. June 25th.
talk about the town. Yeah.
Yeah.
June 25th. Yeah.
Sayre.
It's Sayre VFW, and tickets I think are at the VFW for that one.
Love VFW.
Yeah.
Every time I interview a national comedian that's coming to the area, they always ask me, one of the first things they say is, how do you pronounce Wilkes-Barre? Wilkes-Barre, Wilkes-Barre,
Yeah.
Wilkes-Barre.
I took a
They
voice
ask me every
articulation in college as a sophomore, and freshman. That was
Sounded
2002, and that was one of them, because we had people from Scranton. The guy teaching, he was on the Emmy board in New York, and he pointed out Scranton and Wilkes-Barre, and it was Wilkes-Barre, because he said if you say Wilkes-Barre, you show that you're from there, and the goal is to, if you're on the phone talking to somebody, the goal is for them to not know where you're from. It's like they don't know your age, your race, your nationality, anything. Like you want to talk the same as everybody else, and it sounds weird now, but like you know, Scranton, like I get made fun of for saying W, and it's like I went to broadcast school, so like, but yeah, it's Scranton, always Scranton, and then when I do shows in Scranton, I get made fun of for that, and then but I never say I say Wilkes-Barre with confidence or whatever, either way, and I know that somebody's judging me.
Oh yeah, of course. I say Wilkes-Barre, but from what I understand, it's supposed to be Wilkes-Barre because you have Wilkes and Barre, as in French. You know, the two founders of the area.
That's throw an I in there.
It's a combination of their names or whatever. So technically, it should have like the accent on the end there. Wilkes-Barre.
That would sell me on it.
Yeah.
But nobody in college told me that.
It'd be way cooler with
but
I
just Then it's like, but I'm not French, so I'm not going to pronounce it that way.
Nobody around here is French.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if I've ever met a French person. Like, I don't know. Nobody
French people, but not in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre.
But nobody ever brags that they have French.
It's predominantly like what, Irish?
I could be totally wrong. Maybe it's a different nationality or accent or whatever. But that's what I remember. Somebody telling me. So I'll have a historian on sometime.
People get mad about their town name. They're just like, really?
Right?
Look around.
If you talk to anybody, they hate their hometown anyway.
That's true.
Get possessive over this one thing.
Yeah.
Like I just spent 15 minutes telling you about how much your town sucks. So you're gonna get mad at me for mispronouncing it? Okay, sorry, Carl.
Right.
Yeah. I always trash towns, so it's not. I'll trash your town.
Towns, rooms, people.
Yeah.
Anybody who goes to support Paul, he's gonna make fun of you.
Yeah, I'm gonna make fun of you. It's just weird towns. But yeah.
All right. Well, make sure you go see these guys trash you in your town whenever you can. Make sure you look up Homebrewed Comedy and check out the shows that they do. And thank you so much for.
You've never heard of before.
Thank you guys for coming on and doing
Thanks
this.
for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. This was great.
This comfort, this couch.
I know, right? I lucked out with that couch.
We can take it with us.
Yeah.
We got the
There's
numbers.
no give. Is that for a purpose, Rich? I think that's for a purpose. Very non-cushion.
The main thing was that I could fit a whole band on this couch. I have never been able to do that with any couch.
It smells like a band.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few that stay here overnight and sleep and whatever. Hey, yeah, I remember the code that he put in. Let's break in here.
The Airbnb rate kicks in after 8. But yeah, thanks for having us. It was a good time.
Absolutely, and thank you all for tuning in and supporting the show. If you like the show, you like the conversation, make sure you share it on social media. It's so important. When we were doing the show a couple of years ago, we kind of had a great groove in terms of a live viewership coming in and stuff. And then obviously with the pandemic and everything and having to come back, I think we lost some of that momentum. And in the meantime, Facebook got a little greedier and a little greedier. They show it to less and less people all the time. So we really want to build up that audience back up again. And so you guys can really help with that just by, reacting, liking, sharing, whatever. Even if you angry react, even if you're like, God, every time this is in my feed, angry react. Yeah. The angry react actually gets more social interaction on Facebook. They've done studies to show that it's like, that's worth 5 likes or something like that every time someone angry reacts. So go ahead, be angry, be pissed, whatever,
Jokes.
It just feeds it to more people because that's what they care about engagement. They don't care what kind of engagement.
Usually people engage with stuff that pisses them off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So whether you like us or we piss you off, please like and share. We appreciate it, and we will see you here next Wednesday for a new show. At 7 p.m. or around that area, as long as the mics and everything cooperate. We're really working out the kinks in every show, and I'm sure you see that a little. Hopefully, you see a little improvement every time. But thanks for tuning in, and have a good night, everybody.